Yo, what's up everyone? Soul77 here, and today I'm going to be demonstrating to you guys how to properly use a tank build with Bastion. Now, it's very simple, very straightforward. I'm going to demonstrate that you don't need a lot of reforges for this to work. As you can see here, all this armor is power surged, but I only have a few reforges on sword. I don't have many for axe or any of my other weapons. I'm a repeater main, which would explain why I have more reforges on repeaters. However, into the core of the build. So, if you are a player that struggles with dealing consistent high damage, or if you struggle with staying alive, or maybe both, well, do I have the build for you? This build is not sword specific. I'm using sword just for the demonstration purposes, but this build can be used with any and all weapons crossed, as long as you are using this specific bond right here, Cross the Wolf. And here's why. The core part of this build is making sure that you have Cascade, Aegis, and Galvanized procced at all times. Galvanized and Aegis, along with Bastion and Skarn Shield, will give you optimal survivability. Predator and Pulse will give you the damage, with Catalyst, which will benefit from you having a lot of chronic uptime. So, how do I use this build, you may ask? Well, we're going to get down into the breakdown of things. So first things up, you're going to want to make sure that you use your Cross the Wolf proc under the Behemoth. Anyone that moves through the geyser gets a stackable 125 health shield. This has a max of 600 shields you can gain from it. However, this geyser also does 65 cross damage to the behemoths per hit, which is very useful against base behemoths with cross procs and any other behemoth because it can slow them. The only proc it doesn't work on is obviously cross behemoths. Now, Bastion. We're not going to be using the active, if ever. You can if you choose to, but keeping the high shield count is what makes you a tank. What we're worried about here is the passive ability. Increase shield gain, and when you deal damage, you get 25 shields up to a maximum of 500. So just from those two perks alone, we are capping out passively at 1100 shield. How can we make this even stronger? Well, we look at Skarn's Defiance. We're not here for the damage part of it. Even though it does deal 2500 para damage to targets for 10 seconds, it generates a 30 hit point shield per second that expires after 25 seconds. Max of 600, so that puts you at 1700 shield max, just from all three of those. That's not even getting into our next few perks. So, we're going to be using Cascade at +6. So what Cascade gives you at +6 is the chance to get a purple cell, which will drop, and that purple cell, or buff, will give you an invincibility shield, which will allow you to take a hit. Also, at +5, the healing boost gives you a shield. So when you pick it up, it will heal you over time, while also giving you shield. You can pick up the shield when it's not on cooldown, and it will give you a max of 600 shields. So that puts you well into the you go to around 2400 to 2500 shields with Cascade. Now, we can increase this at +6 after gaining 1000 shields from any source. Ignore the next hit within 15 seconds. This pairs very well with Cascade's invincibility boost, because if you don't get the shield when you activate your lantern, then you're guaranteed to get an immune hit from Cascade +6. Or Aegis +6, I mean. So, your shield gain is increased by a total of 35%, because you get 20% from Aegis, and then you get 15% from Bastion. So, where is our damage coming from? Well, that's easy. With Galvanized, for every 50 shield, you gain 1% bonus critical strike chance, and 15% critical strike damage. Pulse, every 5th weapon hit is a critical strike. 15% critical strike damage. That is a base of 30% critical strike damage. That's really good. We don't need any more than that. That's really good base damage. However, we can pair that with Predator. if you're worried about losing Predator, if you're doing it properly with Cascade and Aegis, you shouldn't worry about losing your Predator too often, because you almost never will, unless you take subsequent hits back to back without having Aegis or Cascade procced. So, Predator at +6 gives you 35% bonus damage, base. This bonus is lost when hit, and it's only permanent. It's no cooldown except for when you take damage, and this damage has to be damage to your health or shields. So with the invincibility boost and the Aegis shield, that is 2 sources that will allow you to keep Predator even if you get hit. So make sure you keep that in mind. That is 2 chances. One is every 15 seconds, the other is every few seconds with Cascade, assuming you get the invincibility boost. So that is 35% more damage to everything you do, whether it's your Bastion hit, whether it's your Scarn Lantern, whether it's your damage with your weapon, or even your Frost the Wolf card. So, the tonics I would recommend bringing for this are Frenzy Tonic, which gives you 15% more damage, 30% if the target's enraged. Blitz Tonic gives you 15% attack speed, and Aether Drive Tonic gives you 100% Lantern cooldown. In our weapon special, we're going to be using Avenging Overdrive. You get this from the Trial Store. After 2 weeks of gameplay, you can get this. Recursive Hilt will keep our stamina up high. Very useful. Also gives us Valor, which is very useful for using our parry in our Overdrive form. However, if you have it, Dynamic Blade Core is very good for using damage if you're going to be doing your combos often, which you should. And that's all there really is to know. Again, this is the bond you want to make sure you use, is Frost the Wolf's Fight. And without further ado, we are going to get into the gameplay. So we're going to test this build out in Blaze Escalation. We're going to do it solo. Alright, let's go. Alright, let's get into it. Alright. Into the escalation we go. So again, you can do this every fight. And just to show you, hold on. Those guys are a bit of a bother. For reference, for your Slayer's Path, if you have it, or if you have the ability to do so, I would highly recommend upgrading your tonics. It's very useful, very helpful even. So like, I'm gonna upgrade this one, and then upgrade this one. So now, both of these last 25% longer. I gotta get the RAM so I can upgrade both of these, or get this one up there also. But that's like the base. I'd say the core tonics that you're gonna use if you're using a Catalyst build, majority of the time, unless you're on Hammer or Strikers, you're gonna be using Frenzy, Aether Drive, and Blitz. If you're on Pike or Chain Blaze, you're probably gonna be using Insight, which allows you to get bonus wound damage, but that's beside the point. So again, without further ado, let's get into the gameplay. We're gonna make sure we tonic before the fight. We got Strike first, that's not bad. We're gonna wait for Strike to do its thing. Oh, well, I messed up. That purple icon that's on my HUD, that is Aegis. So every 10 shield gives you 1 stack of Aegis. As you can see, very easy. We managed to get Predator back in time, and we started doing significantly high damage. And that's all there is to it. So that 71 means I've gained a total of 700 shield, 710 shield, which is not bad. 710 shield is exactly what you see up in the top right corner. And we still have some of our tonics active, which is very helpful. This is an Ember main fight, so we're going to want Ember to run at us. And he did the opposite. Gonna get the interrupt, very nice. We're going to activate the geyser on Ember, so he takes some tick damage in the process. We keep Predator because Charog hit us, but we had Aegis proc, which is very helpful. Alright, now we can turn on Charog. We didn't have Aegis clock there or the invincibility shield, so we did lose Predator there. It's nothing too bad. A quick tip for those that don't know, by the way, you can put your frost shield on Charog and it'll stop his enrage animation. He'll still enrage, but it'll stop him from doing the animation if you time it correctly. As you can see, our damage slowed down significantly because we did not, in fact, keep our tonics up midway through that fight, but it is okay. So for reference, the buffs that you see on your screen, the 18 is, what is it called? Is Bastion. That little shield icon lets me know that I have Bastion active. That 50 again is Aegis. That little heartbeat squiggly line you see in that jaw lets me know that I have Pulse active. That little fleet-footed sign, or that boot, lets me know that I have movement speed. The 2 cross swords is Predator. These 2 cross swords is my tonic, that's why it's going down in duration. The 3 sword bar is my blitz tonic for attack speed, and that lantern icon is Aegis tonic. That is how I keep up with what buffs I have and don't have active. So I picked up Defiant Stone. For those that don't know, Defiant Stone consumes all of my health in exchange for turning all of it into shield. You can do very funny things with this in some very niche builds. I will demonstrate very soon here. So as you can see, we are low on stamina, so we're not going to heavy attack as often. However, to combat that issue, we're going to pick up this damage and the stamina. So now we don't use stamina anymore. And we're going to use our Bastion stand here. Very easy. You see how we have 1 health? When Defiant Stone resets, it is going to reset our health back to whatever we had. So it only will do that much shield depending on whatever your current health is. Now we are going to pick Shadow Dodge. Very helpful for getting interrupts in case I miss my shield or my parry or my heavy attack. You can also interrupt with Bastion, but that requires game knowledge and timing, something I don't have a lot. We're gonna get the shield. We're gonna turn on Phalanx. We lost Predator, not a great start for the sign. This is a very difficult fight, I will say. Just to show you, I'm tanking quite a few hits, even though I lost Predator. I'm not dealing as much damage. However, I'm keeping up my damage because I have Frenzy Tonic, I have Blitz, and I have Aegis. I get the damage buff from Cascade, and galvanized. As you can see, I'm dealing some little chip damage over there to core shot because of the geyser. And now core shot's gone, because we're going to use our Bastion Slam to make the fight a little easy. Alright. I will be giving you guys a demonstration of what you can use just for like solidified proof. You can use this again, you can use this build with different weapons, as long as it's a frost weapon from Urska with the Frost the Wolf weapon bond. You can use this build, so if you're a repeater main, like myself, or a chain blade user, or even hammer, this build works. Again, you won't do the best damage if you lose Predator, because that's where your main damage is coming from, but you'll do enough damage where, or at least you'll take enough damage to where it won't really matter, because you can stay alive and live. We're gonna retonic as soon as it's on cooldown. Well, he's gonna do that. We're gonna have our tonic, we're gonna have our shield back just in time. So it is all good. So usually that attack would kill us, but luckily we had Defiant Stone there. We're gonna tonic again. So this build is primarily tank and sustain. You keep consistent DPS, you stay in the fight pretty long, you don't have to worry about dying. You're not really a glass cannon. After this, I will show you guys what this build looks like in the hunting grounds, just to demonstrate that you don't have to have the escalation boost like Defiant Stone or any of the amps for this build to be really cracked out of its mind and insane. We're gonna parry that with the sword. We get a heart break. Sword is gonna run from us. We don't really want to deal with an Aether Charge, so we're gonna miss our Bastion Slam. Unlucky. We're gonna dodge his attack. We're gonna dodge that one soon. We're gonna go ahead and break that. Dodge that one. Maybe the geyser will kill him? No. Oh, it did! Look at that. Alright. Now, we're gonna go to the hunting grounds. We're gonna go into the blazeworks. There are a few behemoths that I would recommend avoiding in the blazeworks, not because they're difficult, but simply because they are very much difficult to deal with. And those two behemoths being Bloodshot Shroud and Scorchstone Hellion. You can test your hand at them if you wish, but we're going to be going for the Razorwing Karavak, the Sporestruck Charog, and Bloodfire Embermane. Those are the three behemoths we're going to go after. You can go after Koshai. I would just recommend bringing a shock weapon or anything with high stagger damage, because Koshai moves around a lot just like Ember, and it's a lot more annoying if you let him run rampant. So I would keep that in mind. Alright, so we got very lucky. We got 2 of the behemoths we wanted very early on. So we're gonna deal with Charog first. I did in fact screw up by not tonicking first, but it is alright. The easiest way to make the Charog fight bearable is to always stay close to his face and his arms. So no matter where he moves, you kind of want to move with him.
Yo, you don't want no,
Alright, there we go. And it's as simple as that, you guys. So with this build, I can guarantee that you can go and solo Blazeworks behemoths. You can solo escalations. You can use this build in Gauntlet if you need. And very good in Sword Mastery. Very good at outside of Sword Mastery for things like Stonehide or Vitality rounds, or even the current levels, because I was using this build in our current Gauntlet run, where we had, Stonehide. They have more health, but they lose health when they're staggered. Very helpful for rounds like that. So, keep in mind, you guys, you don't have to have a glass cannon build to do good damage. Sometimes it's about staying in the fight longer so you can do more damage. Because the longer you're in the fight, the more damage you're going to do. And that's all the tips I have for you today. I appreciate you for watching the video and checking it out. Stay tuned for more. I will be uploading another video next week. We will be doing weekly uploads of videos like this. Next week's video, we will be using a class cannon build to demonstrate the difference between sustained DPS and burst DPS. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and as always, my name is Sola77. Good evening, good afternoon, and good night.